everybody, Boone White with the 323 Concept Furniture Restoration here today. You are watching the 323 vlog, and this is just our weekly video of showing you furniture repairs, restoration, refinish, whatever we're working on. We try to film it and learn from each other. So that's what YouTube's all about, is learning from each other, contributing, giving ideas. So I'll try to give you ideas that I've got, y'all give us ideas that you've got, and we'll just try to share from each other's experiences and knowledge and hopefully grow together. So without further ado, what are we working on today? We are working on repainting a piece. If you remember, a few weeks ago I did a video, I think it was 5 or 6 simple steps on how to restain a piece of furniture. Well, today I finally got one in the shop. This is a really big buffet slash China hutch that we've got in the shop. And today I thought would be a perfect opportunity to show you our 5 or 6, whatever ends up being, easy steps to refinishing a piece of furniture, but with paint. So, and just a disclosure, we spray all of our finishes. So if you're doing this at home, you might not be spraying. It's the same concept, you know. You would just brush your coat on, find a coat that you like, that you're comfortable with, that is really good at being able to be brushed on, and go from there. But as far as what we're doing, we work with render finishes, and we spray all of our finishes using our Apollo 5 Precision 5 Pro, and that's how we apply our finishes right now. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in and video and log our process on how we go about refinishing a piece of furniture like this. So without further ado, let's jump right in and get to it. All right, everybody, this is step 1. Step 1 is usually always the same, at least for us it is, and that first step is going to be disassembly. So we're going to go through, take off pretty much every part we can possibly do. Now, if we're staining it, if we're going to sand it and stain it, sometimes our disassembly process is a little bit more involved. We'll take off, we'll even disassemble the furniture sometimes if it makes it easier and quicker for us to sand the piece in its entirety. But when we're painting, it's usually not that involved. In this process, we're going to take off all the hardware, we're going to take off the doors, and then we'll go from there. But what I was going to say is, on that first step, I highly recommend having some Ziploc bags handy, and you can use a Sharpie marker and just sort of label your bag as you go. But like, for instance, I'm taking all the screws off of the door on the left side, so I might label this bag left side facing door. That way, when I get ready to reassemble, you know where all your hardware goes. And if it helps you, I would highly recommend taking some photos of the piece as you go as well, and that'll help you out a lot in the end when you get ready to reassemble it. So without further ado, we're going to jump right back to it and finish disassembling this entire piece. So that's the left side doors, and we're just going to repeat that same step for the right side in the center right here. We'll see if the center panel comes out, but basically repeat that step. I probably should have prefaced the video by saying this, but every piece of furniture is different almost. You know, there's a million different variations. I shouldn't say they're all different because there are a lot of replications, but chances are your situation isn't going to be the same as my situation. So a lot of common sense, a lot of preference comes into play on this type of work. Disassemble what you want to disassemble. As you saw, I took out the glass on that door. You might want to just tape it off and paint around it. Every situation is different. For me, I like the idea of just taking it out, clean the glass completely, get everything that I can with the paint. That way, if anything ever changes, it's all painted. So that's just my preference. You might have a different preference, but anyways, without further ado, we're just going to get right back to the project and keep disassembling. So I've gotten the right side doors off, and now I'm over to the center panel, and it's a little bit trickier, but I still want to go ahead and do it. I've already taken out the glass, and it basically has some Phillips screws, some flathead screws on the back side. They're on the back side going up into the top and into the bottom, but I had to remove the glass to get to it. So I was going to take out the glass anyway, so it was just a little tricky trying to get in behind here with the shelves in the way. Getting those retainer strips out, but we got these retainer strips off, glass came right out, and now I'm ready to take out the panel. That way we have a good opening to spray in. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick second to show you this because I've never seen this before. I've been doing furniture for not forever, but maybe almost 10 years, and I've never seen this before. I was looking at these handles. The right side, as you saw, was already broken off, wasn't on there, but the left side was still on there. I'm trying to figure out how to get to the screw because I'm looking at the back side of the panel and there's no exposed screw. I'm looking at the panel itself to see if maybe the wood separates and it's just hidden behind there. Nothing. So after closer examination of the right side, what this vendor has done, I'm assuming the vendor did this, let me take it apart so you can see, or let me show you this other one. You've got the screw, right? And then this wooden insert that has a hole in it. And that sits down in to the opening here and is just glued in. Sorry, I'm trying to give you a good view here. It just sits down into the opening and is glued down in there. So this side was all glued together so it didn't come out whole. So I'm gonna glue those back down in there, but this is what it all looks like assembled, and it just came right off once I unscrewed it, obviously, but we'll re-glue those back in there. But just wanted to take a second to show y'all that because I've never seen it before, and maybe it'll help somebody if you just happen to see it. So all right, so we've got it all disassembled, and now my next step is to go in there and we are going to clean it up using some crud cutter deglosser and degreaser that gets all the oils, all the contaminants off of the piece. It also helps that surface to where the primer will adhere I've used Ben primer. That's what I am still using, is the Ben shellac primer, and works great at adhering pretty much to any surface. It probably doesn't even need the degreaser, deglosser. The degreaser is more just to clean the surface. I want to just make sure to do that anyway, but it really doesn't need the deglosser as far as needing a better surface to adhere to, because that Ben shellac primer is excellent. If you've ever used it before, you know that it just adheres to anything, and everything adheres to it. That's why I've used it for so long. Hopefully looking to transition out to something that's not as harmful. It is, soluble via denatured alcohol, so it does have solvents in it, it's solvent based, so I am looking for something that's more waterborne, that's a little more friendly. So, but for now, I'm using Ben shellac primer, and anyways, we're gonna go through, I'm gonna go through and vacuum all of these out. The customer had put some wood cedar chips in there due to a smell issue at one point, so we're gonna vacuum it all out, which typically isn't gonna be necessary. You could probably just dust it out, unless you've got a really rough piece. Then obviously vacuum it all out, and then go into the cleaning phase using the Crud Cutter degreaser, deglosser, and clean it up real good. And then once we get it all cleaned and prepped, we're gonna get it ready to prime. And by ready to prime, I mean it's ready to prime, except all those doors and drawers that I took off, we'll need to prep those. So step one, disassembly. We're done with step one. Step two, clean it up. So let's jump right into cleaning. On a side note, in addition to cleaning it, we're also gonna do a scuff sand over the piece. And when I'm scuff sanding, that's sort of when I'm going to pay attention to any defects in the wood. And if it needs to be filled, I'll fill it at the same time. So as I'm going through here cleaning it, I'll probably do a little fill work as I'm going. And whenever I go through and do my scuff sanding, that's when I'll knock down all the filler, whatever filler I put in. This one just had a little bit of damage here and there on some of the corners and edges. So we'll do a little fill work as we're cleaning it, and then we'll scuff sand it. Quick important note is we clean it first to get off any of the oil contaminants before we sand, because if you go straight into sanding, your sandpaper, a lot of the times it's going to start rubbing that contaminant into the finish even more, or even possibly spread it a little bit. So that's why we clean it first and then we scuff sand it, and then you can go back in over that and clean it a little bit more if you want. Okay? right, I'm in the middle of step 2 and the filler is drying. Pardon the nasty sun glare. Let me see if I can reposition here. That way I don't have sun all over my face. All right, so we've got the filler drying. That's part of step 2. I'm gonna do just a little bit of scuff sanding, probably not all over, doesn't need it. But step 2, like we had mentioned, is the cleaning with the deglosser degreaser, and sand it if you want. And that'll create a different kind of bond, but I'm using the bench black primer, doesn't need that necessarily, so I'm probably not gonna scuff sand everything, just a little bit. Probably just sand over those areas that we filled and go on from there. So step 3, I'm gonna go ahead and start while my filler is drying, and then I'll backtrack to the sanding. Step 3 is gonna be prep. So we're going to wrap all of our drawers, and we are going to install cup hooks on our doors, because I like to spray those on a hanger. That way I can spray both sides at once, and you'll sort of see that as we spray it, what I mean there. And that just sort of alleviates having to paint one side, let it dry, paint the other side, let it dry, and do 2 or 3 coats like that. So saves a lot of time being able to do it this way. And what we do when we do a door, and I'll probably give you a visualization when I actually do it, but say it's a China hutch and the doors are really high, we will do the cup hook on the very top of the door, and we'll fill it at the end, touch it up with some with a repair kit, and then if say it's a bottom door like on the buffet, we'll do it on the bottom of the door. Holes are never seen. A lot of cabinet refinishers do this method, and I have found it to be very efficient, and I've never had a customer complain about those. So it's a great process. So we will demonstrate that here in just a little bit, and but without further ado, let's jump into step 3, which is our prep. Hey everybody, thank y'all so much for tuning in today and watching our video on how to paint a piece of furniture. As you remember, a few weeks ago we did a video on, I think it was 6 or 7 steps on how to restain a piece. Well, I thought it would be very beneficial to do one on painting a piece, as the process differs just a little bit. You know, there's not as much disassembly when you paint. There's also, you don't have to strip the finish completely, so there's a little bit of differences, and I wanted to highlight those differences and just show y'all our process on how we go about painting the furniture. So I hope it was beneficial to you, and if you have any questions, comments, feel free to let us know below. We'd love to converse with you and share ideas. That's how we're all going to grow you know, grow in our craft and help each other and encourage each other. So if you got value out of this video, we would love if you could hit the like button, and that really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm, helps other people find our video, and just shows us that you liked it, obviously. So we appreciate your support, and if you want to see future update videos, which we try to put out at least one a week, sometimes it's every couple weeks, especially around the holidays like right now, but we do our best to put out videos as much as possible. But if you want to get updates on those videos, as I was saying, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you should be getting notifications as to when our videos come out. And without further ado, we're going to let y'all go, but just want to say thank you once again for tuning in and watching the video, and we hope to see y'all next time. Have a good one.